Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Night Sky This Week show. I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for everything that's up in the sky this week for stargazers, sky watchers everywhere. I hope you had a great weekend. It's August 31st, 2021. We're going to be starting a new week filled with lots of really interesting things that you can see throughout the entire week. So why don't we dive in? Well, first off, let me just welcome everyone in the chat room on the comments. I love seeing where all my stargazing friends, where you are located around the world. I love to hear from you. I've got folks from Turkey, from where do we have? We have Labrador, Canada, Sweden. We have Ohio, Germany, Florida. People are all over the place. It's just fantastic. And I hope you had some clear skies over the past week and did some sky watching. I know I did a little bit, peeking out between the clouds here and there. We had some stormy weather going through here in Montreal, but it looks clear for the coming days. I'm hoping to do some good stargazing. Well, first off, before I dive into the planetarium program, I wanted to give you guys a heads up about auroras. Well, we're heading into the fall season in the Northern Hemisphere, and this traditionally is the time where we can have a tendency for stronger auroras to kick in. Now, remember that auroras are originating from the surface of the sun, where there are solar storms, flares that belch out from sunspots, and they send a charged particle cloud called a coronal mass ejection out into space. And if Earth happens to be in the way of this cloud of charged particles, we may be in store for some perhaps geomagnetic activity that results in auroras, these what we also call northern lights, these beautiful, colorful lights, green, violet, pink colored lights that can even encompass the entire sky in some cases. Now, all of this action, it's happening thanks, like I said, to the sun. And a great website that I like to visit is spaceweather.com. Spaceweather.com really focuses in on auroras, very much so, and solar activity. And they have put out a geomagnetic storm watch. You can see here in red written up, where the NOAA forecasters, that's in the United States, they say that we're in store for a G2 class geomagnetic storm, possible on September 1st and 2nd. So on the days on, that's basically tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday this week, the 1st and 2nd of September, there are possibilities of our planet getting hit, the magnetic field getting really rattled around our planet thanks to two of these coronal mass ejections, these giant clouds of charged particles that the sun has flung off its surface. And you can see on the left here a live picture of the sun. And this is really thanks to this sunspot group that you can see right here at the bottom here. Right there, you can see it's 2860. That's the name of this sunspot group. And thanks to this sunspot group that's facing towards the Earth, we get to actually see some of these resulting solar flares that have produced these coronal mass ejections. So here you can see a movie that was taken by an amateur astronomer out of Romania, showing how that broiling surface of the sun that produces these CMEs. So two of them were sent, and we're expecting back-to-back getting hit by these two clouds of particles, these CMEs. And all the action is September 1st and 2nd. So if you are in northern hemisphere and you're in northern latitudes, so for instance, like maybe even as far south as New York, may see auroras perhaps if they're strong enough. We don't know. There's really no really good prediction to this. But if you go down on this page on spaceweather.com, you can see where the current aurora situation, what it looks like right here. You can see this green glow, the circular green glow around the North Pole. That's the North Pole. There you can see Canada over here. There you can see Europe and Northern Asia. And you can see where auroras are currently visible, really far in the Arctic regions right now. But, and you can see this is daytime. That's why this is blue with the ocean here. This is the daytime, sir, and on the nighttime. So currently, right now, on Monday afternoon Eastern time in here in North America, 31st of August, this is what it looks like. You can see the exact time that this is being taken, but this is a real-time snapshot. So you can watch this on spaceweather.com. I like looking at it because it really gives me a sense of the chances of seeing auroras. And also there's predictions for geomagnetic storms. You can see here on the left side, I'm pointing it out on the page, geomagnetic storms right there. And you can see the mid-latitude and high latitude percentage chance within the next 24 and 48 hours of seeing either active, minor, or severe geomagnetic activity. So the higher the percentage, the more chance there is of actually seeing northern lights or auroras. So that's something to keep in mind. All this action happening September 1st and 2nd. I wanted to make sure that you guys are ready for that. So keep your eyes open for northern lights. When's the best time? Usually around local midnight, your midnight time, looking towards the north. It's better when you're out of the city, obviously, because the city light pollution drowns out these ghostly glows. So you want to be out in the countryside, looking towards the north, around, again, local midnight, as close to the northern horizon. A lot of times, these northern lights shows begin with faint green glows hugging the northern horizon. And then as minutes progress, if it's intense enough, the display, it can actually encompass more and more of the sky over time. So that's what's happening. So keep your eyes out. Go to the spaceweather.com. I'll put a link in the comment section after the show to the site, and just keep watching. Hopefully, cross our fingers, we'll get a light show in the next couple of days. And I'd love for you to share some of your pictures if you do end up taking some of these beautiful auroras. So with that, why don't we jump into the planetarium program and see what else is in store in the night sky. So here we are. We've got our sky set up for soon after local sunset, the first week of September. And what you'll notice is our friends Venus, Mercury, and Mars, the three inner solar system planets, are dominating that low western horizon. Now, Mars and Mercury are going to be a challenge. I have to tell you, you'll probably need binoculars to pick them out from the glow of the sunset. That glow there, twilight glow, can really mask the light of those planets. Mercury will be the brighter of the two, Mars and Mercury, and Mars will be the one that will be really challenged. It's heading into conjunction with the sun soon, and so it's just sinking, and approaching the sun closer and closer, making it a real challenge. So, but Mercury is still something you can see soon after sunset in the west. And then you'll see Venus, super bright white star, right? Super bright white star. And what will be very cool is look for another star, a true star. Now we know Venus is a planet, but next to Venus is a real star that is called Spica. And I'll mark it down here for you. Mark it here, right there. That little there, right there is Spica. Now, Spica is the brightest star in the zodiacal constellation Virgo the Maiden. Virgo the Maiden is traditionally a springtime constellation, meaning when we refer to the season for a constellation, it's usually evening. It's well placed for evening observing, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that happens in springtime for Virgo. But Virgo now, when we're transitioning in the northern hemisphere to the autumn season, it's really getting closer and closer to the sun, and it's not going to be visible to the constellation itself won't be very visible to us as sky watchers. But before it totally disappears for the winter, we get to see that bright star getting very close to Venus. And that's what you're seeing right here. So the two are going to be getting closer and closer. Now, what I have here set up for you is what it looks like on Monday, August 31st. But if I go in time to Tuesday, watch what happens over the next few days. So if I go to Tuesday, then I go to Wednesday, there. Then I go to Thursday and Friday, right? Saturday, look at that. Do you see what's happened? The two objects, star-like objects, that's what they look like, pinpoints of light, will appear to get closer and closer until they reach their closest distance, approach to each other on Friday and Saturday. So on Saturday, we're talking September 4th, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. And here's the 5th, Sunday. The two star-like objects, Venus, which is a planet, and Spica, which is actually a star, will be at their closest. And really, this is going to be really nice. Like, that's the view on Saturday. And through a binocular, this is what it'll appear through binoculars. If you point your binocular, this is how far apart they will appear in your field of view. And, in a telescope, you just won't be able to get both of them. They'll still be a little bit too far apart, but perfectly placed for binoculars, I think. And what's really cool to see is, think about it, at least I should say, that Spica is 250 light years away. So you're looking back in time 250 years of what the star looked like 2.5 centuries ago. It's incredible. That's how long it takes the light to reach us. And then, of course, from Venus is 161 million kilometers away, and it takes light just under 9 minutes to travel one way between our two worlds. So when you're looking at Venus, just think about this, that it's taken 9 minutes for the light to reach your eye, while with Spica, which is so close to it, looks like it's really close to it, it's so much farther. It takes 250 years for the light from Spica to reach your eye. And yet these two objects will appear close in the evening sky later this week. So again, this is the setup. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the two pinpoints of light, Venus, which is super bright, much brighter, and fainter Spica will be passing by each other. So you don't want to miss this. This is a really beautiful site, sky watching site, easy to do with the naked eye. You don't need telescopes. They're totally unnecessary for this. Binoculars will definitely help, but you'll be able to see with the naked eye these two beautiful celestial objects close together. So check this out. And like what Sunya was saying, time traveling through space sounds amazing. It is. Your eyes are time machines when we look up into the celestial sky, looking at the night sky. It's really incredible. So do check that out. That is something really worth looking at. So that's what we have at sunset this week. And again, all the action, just keep watching it over the next few days as we approach the first weekend in September. And again, this is visible wherever you are around the world. So I know this is set up for Northern Hemisphere. This is actually what it would look like from around New York, Montreal, Toronto, Rome, Italy, that kind of latitude, but these two objects will appear close together, Venus and Spica, everywhere around the world. So do check that out. And then, of course, if we move towards the southeastern sky, our friends Jupiter and Saturn, those other two planets will be together. Check this out. There's the two of them together. Really beautiful, pinning down the southeastern sky in the constellation Aquarius and Capricornus. Saturn is in the constellation Capricornus, and next door is Aquarius, and Jupiter is there. So the two brightest star-like objects that you'll see in the southeastern sky later as darkness falls will be our friends Jupiter and Saturn, the two largest planets in the solar system, gas giants. And through telescopes, you can see the rings of Saturn. You can see the cloud belts of Jupiter and the moons of Jupiter. And if you have just a pair of binoculars, the moons of Jupiter will be revealed, at least the four largest ones. So if I zoom in on Jupiter like this, you'll see those four moons right next to it. This is kind of the view that you would get through, say, a small telescope. You see that? You can see Ganymede, Europa, there, Io close by, and Callisto. These were first seen by Galileo 400 years ago through the first invented telescope, the very first primitive telescope. And with an average pair of binoculars, if you hold it steady enough, you too can see this. Even if you live in the city, it doesn't matter if there's light pollution, you can still see this through a pair of binoculars. Very, very, very cool. So those two planets definitely pinning down the southeastern sky. Also, don't forget, on a dark moonless night that we have evenings this week, you can see the beautiful Milky Way band deep in the southern horizon, going next to Sagittarius. The giant teapot marks Sagittarius, the zodiacal constellation. There's the teapot constellation configuration, actually an asterism we call within the constellation, a stellar pattern that's part of a larger constellation. There's Scorpius on the other side, kind of bookmarking the Milky Way band. And remember, to see the Milky Way, you got to have dark skies. So you got to get out of the city to really see this beautiful band of light. As you can see, I'm showing you stretching across the skies all the way to the northeast. Now, we're going to turn our attention to finally into the early morning hours. I'm just going to move this later. There you can see where the moon is. Check that out. So there's the moon. There's our friend the moon. I'm going to make it a little bit easier to see. Let me just get that done there. Easier to see. There we go. So check that out. So there's a beautiful crescent moon that's going to be visible. This is, we're talking about after midnight in the early pre-dawn hour. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're looking towards the eastern skies, you may see that beautiful crescent moon. You're talking about like 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's where the moon will be. And what's very interesting is that on Tuesday, August 31st, August 31st, that this is where you'll see the moon. As you get up in the morning on Wednesday, you'll see that the moon will be situated very close to a star cluster. And let me see if I can get that star cluster visible. There we go. And it's called M35. It's in the constellation. Let me zoom back out. This is the constellation Gemini. Right there, you can see the twins, the heads of the twins, right? That one is Castor. That one is Pollux, the two brightest stars marking the heads of Gemini, the twins. And the moon will appear just off the leg of Castor, the foot of Castor right there. And what's really neat is that it's going to be next to a beautiful open star cluster. So if you have binoculars or small telescopes, this is a neat pairing together, and it gives you, the moon acts as a wonderful guidepost in seeing this star cluster, which otherwise, if you're a beginner, you may not know where to look. So the moon is just wonderful for that. And since it's a crescent moon, the light from it won't be too blinding. And there it is. You can see where it's right next to it, right next to the moon, the crescent moon. And through binoculars, this is what you would see, is something in that sort. That's kind of the view through binoculars. And it's a really beautiful M35 is a beautiful star cluster. Here you can see, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just fantastic. So look at that. It's just like a bunch of diamonds all scattered about in the sky. And what's really neat, it is 910 light years away, M35 is. M35. And it's visible with binoculars easily, and of course with small telescopes. And the moon is going to act as a wonderful guidepost. Again, this is September 1st in the early morning hours, right? Early morning hours of September 1st, looking towards the eastern sky where Gemini, you'll have the moon in Gemini constellation. Fantastic sight. And you can watch this even like up to an hour before your local sunrise later. Now, if I move this forward a couple of hours, you'll see it'll be much higher up in the sky compared to the sunset. There's the sunrise, I should say. The sunrise, the glow from the coming sunrise. That's right there, dawn, and there's the moon up there. So it'll be pretty high up, and there'll be a configuration of bright stars around the moon too. Guess what? These bright stars are going to be rising earlier and earlier as we go through the next few months. And in January and February of next year, these stars, where the moon is located today, is going to be prime time sky watching for us. The Orion, we have Auriga, Gemini, Taurus, the Bull. All these constellations will be in our evening skies in wintertime. But right now, they are still in the early morning skies. That's where we see them here in the Northern Hemisphere. So really neat. And the moon is going to be, let me just go back to where it's darker. You can see over the next few days this week, the moon will be getting closer by Friday, September 3rd. The moon is going to create this beautiful lineup with the twin stars of Gemini. Look at that. So you have Castor and Pollux. There we have. You see, there's Castor, there's Pollux, and there's the moon in a beautiful alignment. Isn't that neat? That will be beautiful. Again, this is in the early morning hours. You got to wake up early to be able to see this beautiful pairing of the moon with the twin stars of Gemini. So again, that will be on Friday morning, September 3rd. And then if we watch this a little bit more and we go into Saturday, look at this. On Saturday morning, the moon is an even thinner crescent. On Saturday, this is Saturday, September 4th, the moon is even a thinner crescent and will be positioned next to another amazing bright open star cluster called the Beehive cluster. And it's in the middle, the heart of Cancer the Crab. Cancer the Crab, another zodiacal constellation. The moon is going to be snuggling up to this beautiful star cluster called the Beehive. Very famous, seen by ancient Greek astronomers with the naked eye. It looks like a fuzzy little blob. Try to see it yourself. See if you can make it out. If you're under dark skies in the countryside, this is something that you can look for, is the Beehive star cluster next to that whisker-thin crescent moon. Check that out. And what does it, 610 light years away is how distant this star cluster is. Imagine you're looking back in time 610 years next to, of course, the moon, which is only 400,000 kilometers away and is only just over 1 second, light second away. It takes only just a second for the light from the moon to reach your eye, while next door at this star cluster, looking at through binoculars, incredible to think, 6 centuries it takes the light to reach us. It's just incredible. And this is the view that you'd get through binoculars. Look at that. You have the beautiful moon, and then you have the star cluster, the Beehive star cluster, right next door. Again, when is this? Saturday, September 4th. before a couple of hours or more before your local sunrise, looking in the eastern sky. Check that out. It's absolutely beautiful. You don't want to miss this. There's tons of stuff in the sky this week, guys, and including auroras, the possibility of auroras. We're crossing our fingers, and the moon guiding us to different to stars, and we've got planets to look at close to stars as well. Just wonderful things. I hope you get some clear skies this week, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please show your support, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel so you won't miss out on my next video. I want to thank all of you for coming by. Thanks wherever you're watching. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And until next time, I wish all of you, of course, clear skies. Bye-bye.